Yo, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be doing a tier list for the Season 5 Overwatch patch. Just sort of started like about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So we're going to be going into just the tier list. But we'll be doing this with a twist. We'll have a top 100 like pro level tier list and a tier list for the lower ranks, where a lot of things might not be viable in top ranks, but maybe they can put up some in low ranks. Anyways, let's get straight into it, starting with D.Va. I would say, she's definitely in between. She's not hard meta, but she is definitely like, especially for like the top ranks, she's a really strong pick right now, I think. She works into almost she works into plenty of comps. She's really good at countering the characters that are really good right now. Very specifically, like Trisha Sombra, D.Va has like incredible spy checking capabilities, where she can spot Sombra out of invis a lot, and being able to negate Trisha's pulse bomb with how good Tracer is at the moment. I would definitely say she's just under hard meta. Like she's like at the top of the strong pick tier list, because there are two tanks right now that are super duper strong in higher mech especially, and most of the time the other tanks, like maybe in ranked you can get away with playing some tanks, but in pro play whatnot, but only like really two tanks are playing it right now, and we'll be getting into those later. But yeah, I would say D.Va's a super strong pick right now. She can just like counteract so much. She can peel your team, she can pocket your team, being able to remech her ults, like sometimes you'll die as baby, but like her ultra strong to get like another life, getting right back into it. I would say Doom is not a strong pick, and I would say he's in between like viable and you can force him if you're really good at it. But in the top ranks, you have to, like, this is the thing, like you could be like mid on Winston and do 10 times more than somebody who's mid on Doom. Like Doom, you have to make plays constantly. Like you have to hit all your abilities. You have to do some insane like punch 3 people off the map type of BS. Like, and it's possible if like you're really good at Doom. So, and he's like, I mean, he's been really strong. He was a bit stronger more recently, not anymore in like the current meta. I mean, Tracer Sombra is just like really good, and that really messes with Doom. But yeah, I'd say he's still strong. Not a strong pick, like maybe in ranked he can be strong, but even then he's like super, like you have to be like really good at him. Honestly, he's like at the bottom of viable for me. Like, or maybe let's just put him at, you can force him if you're really good, because I mean it's only viable if you're good at him, really. Moving on, we have JQ, who was recently, she got insanely buffed, every single ability but her shout, with shout being her best ability. But recently she got her shout nerfed, her best ability nerfed. But I think JQ, she went from being like an insane pick to still being like really good. I would debate that she's still a pretty decently strong pick. Like, this is the thing, at the top pro level, she kind of isn't really played at all, because there are things that just like kind of dump on her. You have like your Ram May and like other things that just annihilate her. And the only comps she's really viable with are like really fast comps, because like comps where she's just like meant to AFK and like shout to peel her team, there's just tanks that can do that much better and don't need to rely on like hitting all their abilities. Because JQ's sort of similar to Doom, where it's like if you hit like crazy knives, you can like make a lot of openings. Like in ranked, you could definitely still, even though like in lower ranks especially, but even still in like top ranks, like top 100 whatnot, you'll have people like OTPing her to top 10, because you can kind of like, because ranked isn't as organized, but in pro play she's not as good. But I say in ranked, yeah, she's still a strong pick. You can definitely still run over people with all of her other abilities being buffed. That increases her survivability. And her shout only got nerfed like 50 HP. Really, like sort of a bit, like not a crazy big nerf, but like a decent nerf, but nothing that like killed the character. If they did like 100, that would really mess with her. But they only lowered it from 200 to 150 for herself, and I'm pretty sure everyone still gets 100 or something of that nature. Moving on, we have Orisa. I think Orisa actually kind of went up in the meta recently because I mean she was pretty dog for a bit, but with Mei being buffed, they sort of pair decently together. But she's not terrible, but like there's other things that can do her job better. She's niche. I would say she's niche. She can directly counter some characters. Like she can really make like Doom have a hard time sometimes, you know? Because Jav is still a really oppressive ability, and like she just has incredible survivability, but she can sort of still get messed up by longer range comps and by like Zarya can pack her up. Like if you play like Ana Zen Zarya, she just gets dumpstered. And like it's just like Ram is just slightly better. She's just niche. You can play her. There's people who can like play her and like get to high rank, especially if you're like duoing with like a Mei player or something. Like you guys just like force rush or I don't know. She's weird. Moving on, we have Ram. I would put Ram for especially like meta, like in like pro play, owl contenders, etc. Ram is a super duper hard meta pick. Not always. I think, and we'll get into him later, I think there's a different tank that's played even more than Ram. But there are two comps being played right now in high rank generally. But like in pro play generally. One being like a Ram comp, either with like Moira, Lucio, and they just like up people down. Like some examples from maps he's really good on, like Shambali. People always play Ram on Shambali, and like his kit is just incredible. He has really high damage, incredible survivability. His shield's decent. His ult's really good. You can get it quickly. When you cancel your Nem form and you ult, you get like well, you don't even need to cancel your Nem form. They actually hotfix that. Like you can get like 150 HP from using his Nem form and his ultimate. So even more survivability. His block's really good. The one sort of thing that kind of messes him up, like if you like sleep him or something, that's like the one thing that can like really like shit on Ram, or like if you like, I don't know, Mei wall him off or something, or like slow him down and like run away. But if he can like get sped around like the map and like just chase people down, he's a super, like I'll just have games where I go like 60-5 on Ram for no reason, just because it's like a server admin character. Especially in ranked, you can just dunk on people. But he's even really good in pro play. So yeah, super hard meta pick right now. Moving on, we have Rein, and this is an interesting one because Rein is a really interesting hero. Like you'll have people like hey, shout out my buddy Derpy. He recently got top 10 playing majority Reinhardt. I think that was like season 4, or I don't know, but he was like, he ended like rank 7 or some shit. And it's like a weird character, but there will be people like, take an example like Team France in the current World Cup. Bembes is like really known for his Rein, and EU just in general plays like more rush. I don't know. They just like, they fucking love Reinhardt in that region, and they be playing that. They play it all the time. It's funny actually, but like each region has like different like variations and comps. It's actually really interesting, like in pro play. I could do a different video on that. Let me know if you guys would want that, like comparing regional comps, whatnot, and like the explanation behind it and thought process, because everything Overwatch 2 especially shifted the game when it came to all that. But that's for a different topic. Anyways, back to Reinhardt. I would say he's decently viable. Like there'll be certain maps where Rein just like, it's like you'll have your Numbani or you'll have your Gibraltar, and it's like, what are you gonna do, right? Because it's just like those maps are just not made for Reinhardt. But especially in ranked, you can force him, and there's like tons of people who are notorious for being like Reinhardt players, like hitting high rank. Last Owl season, Rush was a lot better. Like the Reinhardt comp, like Rein, Bap, Lucio, was a lot more viable. These days, it's a little bit tougher into what's really good right now. Moving on, and makes me really glad to say this. We have Roadhog, and I'm ecstatic